In Columbus's 3 different voyages to and from the Americas, he primarily encountered 2 main tribes, the Taino people and the Caribs. Now, the Taino people, he loved the Taino people, and the Taino people loved him. In Columbus's own writings, he praised them as the best people in the world. Another quote from Columbus, "A better race there cannot be." In the letter of the admiral to the nurse of the Prince John, written near the end of the year 1500, we find out that Columbus even advocated for the Taino people's citizenship and with civil rights. Well, my goodness, that's not what I've heard, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, there were the Caribs. Now, this is where we get the word Caribbean from. But the Caribs were also known as the Cannibs, short for cannibals, and they were the mortal enemy of the Taino people, in which, like I said, Columbus wrote, "A better race there cannot be." I want to read you a couple of pages from a fantastic book. This is The American Story, The Beginnings, by David Barton. I'm going to begin on page 25. Talking about Columbus, he says this: "Having found friendly allies, Columbus went back to Spain to bring more colonists. Because one of his 3 ships had run aground and was unstable, it forced him to leave a number of his men behind with the Tainos. While he was gone, that first time he left, the Caribs, otherwise known as the Cannibs, launched an attack upon them, killing and cannibalizing the men, all of them. Okay, and the writings that talk about these actual events, they ate all of them in, and they enslaved the Taino women. And we're going to get to it in a second, but I want you to know that this evil people that Columbus had to come and put in check, okay, they were enslaving the women, raping them, and they were in cages, and the moment that they would give birth, they would eat their babies. What would you do? Do you think you'd wage war against the people like that? I would, absolutely. Upon his return with 17 ships and 1,200 settlers, which was his second voyage, Columbus found their remains. At the behest of his native allies, he set out for the Carib lands of those who had attacked and killed his men and their Taino friends. Later, in one Carib village, Columbus found huts where the Caribs housed enslaved Taino women who they raped and produced children, which the Caribs ate. A doctor accompanying Columbus, this is a report from that time, says this: "These captive women told us that the Carib men used them with such cruelty as would scarcely be believed, and that they eat the children which they bear to them, only bringing up those which they have by their native wives. Such of their male enemies as they can take away alive, they bring here to their homes to make a feast of them. And those who are killed in battle, they eat up after the fighting is over. They claim that the flesh of man is so good to eat that nothing like it can be compared to it in the world. And this is pretty evident, for of the human bones we found in their houses, everything that could be gnawed had already been gnawed, so that nothing else remained of them but what was too hard to be eaten. In one of the houses," this is an actual record, "we found the neck, just the neck, of a man undergoing the process of cooking in a pot, preparatory for eating it. The habits of these Caribs are beastly." Now, David Barton goes on, he says, the abundance of the human remains and non-human bones laying throughout the various camps confirm the reports of the widespread barbaric Carib cannibalism, which, Columbus had previously heard. Columbus also learned that, and here's another document, the Caribs, whenever they catch these Indians, eat them as we would eat kids or goats, is what that means. And they say that a boy's flesh tastes better than that of a woman. Of this human flesh, they are very greedy, so that to eat of that flesh, they stay out of their country for 6, 8, or even 10 years before they return home. And they stay so long whenever they go that they depopulate the islands. Now, so what did Columbus do? Columbus, this evil, genocidal villain, no, Columbus liberated the enslaved women they found in the huts. And then he proceeded to fight the Caribs whenever they engaged him. But he also tried his best to treat the Taino tribes justly and kindly. Now, I will say, like we talked about before, sadly, not every European explorer followed his example, because even his own crew, because they were Spaniards, he was Italian, there was hostility. His own crew later took up arms against him, against Columbus, to prevent his caring treatment of the natives. Everything we have learned about Columbus has been because of a revisionist history coming in to pervert the actual true history, putting in their own twist, their own narrative to make us hate our country. They hate nationalism. Their entire goal is, listen, if you are born and raised in a school system, receiving curriculum your entire life, talking about the true history of America, that even does talk about its real warts and its honest past, but seeing how it was such an amazing country founded on religious and civil liberties and amazing, documents such as the Constitution that govern us, what are you going to do? You're going to hate your country? No, you're going to love it. You're going to become a nationalist. What's an evil word? And just meaning you love your country, right? No. So here's the thing. That's why nationalism stands in the way of globalism. If you love your country, then you're not going to be for globalization. You're going to be for nationalization, right? So they've got to pervert and twist the actual history of America so that you can hate America, so that you won't be a nationalist, and you will help usher in a globalist society. That's their goal. And they've got to revise it. And they've been revising, not just since the 60s. I'm not going to get into it right now, but they've been revising. I mean, I know for sure they've been revising, might even go before this, but since the 1830s, actually. I really want to go into it, but I'm not. So let's keep reading. So despite Columbus's approach to native peoples, which was certainly among the most humane of any explorer at the time, many authors assert today that he sought to destroy and pillage all the Indians. Columbus enslaved, another part of modern narrative is that Columbus enslaved peaceful natives and carried them back to Spain. No, nearly all those he forcibly brought to Spain were the cannibalistic Caribs, or those captured in justified warfare. From the friendly Taino tribes, several volunteered to travel back to Spain with him, including an important local chieftain and his family. One of the peaceful natives from the Taino tribe who chose to return with Columbus actually even became a member of the royal Spanish court. Another took Columbus's last name and faithfully traveled with him as his, for various different visits to other native tribes and islands. Now, gosh, we are out of time. When he found the newly arrived Spanish colonists, he came back, on his third voyage. So I'm skipping some things. He found the Spanish colonists mistreating, cheating, and enslaving the Tainos. So what did he do? What did Columbus, this evil, wicked, genocidal man, right? No. He punished those settlers. In response, on his third voyage, what did the colonists do? They revolted and imprisoned Columbus, accusing him of the crimes they themselves had committed, sending him back to Spain in chains.
And their accusations, by the way, are the accusations that modern-day revisionists stand on to say Columbus was this evil person.
Even though whenever he got back to Spain, he was totally and completely exonerated of those charges because they understood, okay, things are getting wild over there, and our own people, the Spaniards, they're getting wild. But no, we understand, Columbus, that you're a good man, and you were not involved in these things. And that was actually his last trip to America. He couldn't come back. So yeah, it's just a revisionist history, all led by Marxists to destroy your love for America.